What if I told you that for more than a year, an entire state was afraid to go to sleep? A killer was breaking into homes at night. He didn't choose victims based on age, gender, or wealth. Anyone could be next. Children, couples, grandparents, no one was safe. And as California lived in fear, the man responsible walked freely among them. His name was Richard Ramirez, but the world would come to know him as the Night Stalker. Richard Ramirez was born on February 29, 1960, in El Paso, Texas. From an early age, his life was filled with violence. His father was known for explosive anger and frequently abused his children. But the most influential figure in Richard's life wasn't his father. It was his cousin, Miguel. Miguel was a Vietnam War veteran who often told Richard graphic stories about torture, murder, and violence he claimed to have witnessed during the war. Richard listened with fascination. The stories didn't scare him, they captivated him. Then something happened that would leave a lasting impression. In 1973, Richard witnessed Miguel shoot and kill his own wife during an argument. The murder happened right in front of him. Richard was only 13 years old. Many investigators later wondered whether that moment played a role in shaping the monster he would become. As a teenager, Ramirez became deeply involved in drug use. He experimented with marijuana, LSD, and eventually cocaine. He also developed an obsession with Satanism and the occult. By the late 1970s, he had moved to California. At first, his crimes were relatively minor. He burglarized homes and stole vehicles. But those crimes were only the beginning. Investigators would later discover that Ramirez enjoyed breaking into houses simply to watch people while they slept. It was a disturbing behavior that hinted at something far darker. By 1984, the burglar had begun evolving into a predator. In June 1984, a 79-year-old woman named Jenny Vincow was found murdered in her apartment. She had been stabbed repeatedly. At the time, detectives had no idea that this murder would become linked to a future serial killer. Over the next year, the attacks intensified. Victims were beaten, shot, stabbed, sexually assaulted, and murdered inside their own homes. The randomness made the crimes especially terrifying. Unlike many serial killers, Ramirez didn't fit a predictable pattern. He targeted elderly couples, young women, children, single men. Anyone could become a victim. No one felt safe. By the summer of 1985, panic had spread across Southern California. Every morning, residents woke up wondering whether another attack had occurred overnight, and often it had. Ramirez entered homes through unlocked windows and doors. Sometimes he used firearms. Other times he used knives, tire irons, or hammers. The brutality varied from attack to attack. What remained constant was the terror. News stations covered the murders relentlessly. People installed security systems. Neighborhood watch groups formed across the region. The Night Stalker wasn't just killing people. He was changing the way an entire city lived. Investigators began noticing strange details at some crime scenes. Ramirez occasionally left pentagrams. He sometimes forced victims to swear allegiance to Satan. And during certain attacks, he spoke openly about the devil. The media seized upon these details. Soon, newspapers were portraying him as a satanic killer stalking California's streets. Whether these beliefs were genuine or simply part of his effort to terrify victims remains debated, but the effect was undeniable. Fear spread even faster. The Night Stalker was becoming a legend, and legends are often more frightening than reality. Detectives from multiple jurisdictions struggled to connect the crimes. The attacks occurred across a vast geographic area. Different weapons were used. Different victim profiles were selected. At first, many investigators believed multiple offenders were responsible. But forensic evidence eventually told a different story. Fingerprints linked several crime scenes. Witness descriptions pointed to the same suspect. Slowly, the picture became clearer. California wasn't hunting several killers, it was hunting one, and he was becoming increasingly confident. In August 1985, investigators finally caught a major break. Ramirez had left a fingerprint on a stolen vehicle. The print was entered into law enforcement databases. A match came back. The suspect had a name: Richard Ramirez. For the first time, police knew exactly who they were looking for. His photograph was released to the media. Within hours, newspapers and television stations across California were broadcasting his face. The hunter had become the hunted. On August 31, 1985, Ramirez returned to Los Angeles, unaware that his identity had been exposed. As he walked through the city, people began recognizing him from television reports. A crowd started gathering. Someone shouted that he was the Night Stalker. Ramirez attempted to flee, but residents chased him through the streets. Several citizens physically restrained him before police arrived. After months of terror, the Night Stalker had finally been captured. Not by a SWAT team, not by a dramatic shootout, but by ordinary people who refused to let him escape. Ramirez's trial began in 1988. It quickly became one of the most infamous criminal trials in American history. He showed little remorse. At one point, he appeared in court with a pentagram drawn on his hand. He often smiled at cameras. He embraced the image of a monster. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Survivor testimony, fingerprints, physical evidence, witness identifications. The prosecution painstakingly connected him to a series of murders, sexual assaults, and burglaries. The jury deliberated before finding him guilty on numerous charges. Ramirez was sentenced to death. Richard Ramirez spent decades on death row. In 2013, before his execution could be carried out, he died from complications related to cancer at the age of 53. His death closed one chapter of a horrific story, but it didn't erase the scars left behind. Families had lost loved ones. Survivors carried lifelong trauma. Entire communities remembered the fear that had once gripped California. The Night Stalker was gone, but the impact of his crimes would remain. Richard Ramirez became one of the most feared serial killers in American history, not only because of the number of victims he left behind, but because of the uncertainty he created. There was no predictable pattern, no obvious warning, no safe neighborhood. For more than a year, Californians went to bed wondering whether they would wake up to news of another attack. And that fear was exactly what the Night Stalker wanted. A killer who operated in darkness, a predator who turned ordinary homes into crime scenes, and a name that decades later still sends chills down the spine of true crime enthusiasts around the world. The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, a nightmare that once walked among the living. If you enjoyed this true crime documentary, subscribe for more stories about serial killers, criminal masterminds, cartels, and the investigations that brought them down. And let us know in the comments, which true crime case should we cover next?